Chairman of the MAS Board of Directors, David Childs.
Good morning to all of you. Well, I wish it really were a good morning, but it still looks pretty terrific out there. We had a little bit better day yesterday, and it will burn off a bit, but it's also good to keep your attention to the speakers and to the videos that we will be showing you, so it's not all bad. We're delighted to be here with you again for the second day of our second Great Summit event. We've got some wonderful people to start, to fill in the middle, and to end the day today. We're very much looking forward to it. But again, thank you all for coming. For those of you who were here yesterday for both days, and welcome to you who have just arrived for the first part of your time with us. An important event like this, of course, wouldn't be possible at all without the great support of many people, individuals like you all, thank you, and for corporations and foundations. And I know that some of you were here yesterday, you've heard me speak about these people before, but I want to do it again because they have meant so much to us and to other programs that we're doing. So please, at the end, I know you will want to acknowledge this group, and I will tell you who they are. The Rockefeller Foundation, the Ford Foundation, Tiffany and Company Foundation, American Express, Con Edison, Forest City Ratner, the Educational Foundation of America, the William and Mary Grieve Foundation, the Charles H. Revson Foundation, the Laura M. Tisch Illumination Fund, the related companies, who are, of course, our hosts here in Time Warner Center and this room. And finally, and not at all least, of course, because this is how our word continues to get out, and there's such great supporters, the media partners for the summit, the New York Times, Crane's New York Business, and Architizer. Thanks to all of them. From our very founding days, well over a century now, the belief that public art contributes to civic life has been vital, has been the center point, in fact, to our mission. Tribute in Light, the stunning memorial to the September 11th event, pays tribute to those that we lost on that tragic day while celebrating the spirit of our city that got us through that time. MAS has produced tribute each September 11th since our original collaboration with Creative Time in March 2002. Vin Cipolla here will be telling you more about MAS's work on the 10th anniversary memorial. But first, we'd like to show you a short video from this year's Illumination event.
tried to say? What was that you tried to say? Tried to say. Tried to say. Tried to say. Tried to say.
Isn't that incredible? I want to recognize the individuals behind that video, Grant and Meredith Goldenstern, right there. Stand up, you guys. These two, on their own, created and then sent to MAS and the Alliance for Downtown New York this incredible video of the setup of Tribute in Light, and it's a beautiful and remarkable piece. Thank you for sharing it with us. Welcome to the second day of the 2011 MAS Summit for New York City. And for those of you that are watching, I know you can see me on the monitors outside of this room. Come on in. There are seats. The weather is fine in here. Yesterday was a terrific day. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it in a second. One of the thrilling moments for me was during the lunch salon period. In the middle of the day, we had these long tables out there and 500 chairs. You could not find a chair. And it was thrilling, and the volume level of the conversation was up in the rafters. And for us, that is very much mission accomplished. And we are streaming live online. Speakers, you are forever indelible in virtual reality. And the videos from the summit, some folks even asked me again this morning, videos from the summit will be downloadable in a couple of weeks, but the summit is streaming live. What's so wonderful about Grant's and Meredith's short is that it's not only beautiful to look at, but it also shows the painstaking work that goes into producing the illumination every year. A lot of people have come together to make Tribute in Light the memorable, powerful memorial that it is. In the days following September 11th, as New Yorkers began memorializing the thousands of people who lost their lives, MAS and Creative Time brought together several artists and designers who had independently conceived the idea of a memorial of public art made of light. Philip Howard was the chairman of MAS in 2001 and led the effort to make the concept a reality. Under the direction of MAS President Kent Barwick and with the help of Frank Sanchez, MAS quickly won the support of major civic and cultural leaders. Funding came from Deutsche Bank, Sullivan and Cromwell, General Electric, the LMDC, Con Edison, and individuals such as David Rockefeller and Aggie Gunn. When tribute shown just 6 months after the World Trade Center attacks, MAS met an unmistakable need that the people of the city and the region had already been expressing in myriad ways of their own, in every neighborhood. Let's not forget that MAS was founded at the time of the City Beautiful movement with the belief that public art contributes hugely to civic life. As David mentioned, since March 11, 2002, MAS has produced Tribute in Light each September 11. It is a memorial to those who we lost on that tragic day, as well as a symbol of the spirit of our city. It reminds us of those who work so tirelessly to get us, our city, our citizens through that trying time. MAS is honored to present Tribute in Light each year, and we are grateful for our partnership with Creative Time and Ann Pasternak, as well as the large group of supporters who make Tribute possible. Thank you to the brilliant artists who envisioned Tribute, and a special thanks to Michael Ahern, Michael's here, and his production team who have worked on Tribute since the beginning. I want to thank the mayor and his office, especially Patty Harris and Nanette Smith, and a thank you to Citigroup, New York & Company, and Peter Malkin and the Malkin Fund, and indeed the nearly 500 people and organizations who responded in just 4 weeks to our new fundraising campaign for Tribute in Light. As many of you know, the funding of Tribute in Light is not guaranteed for the future or even next year. My hearty thanks to the MAS Board of Directors, especially David, Susan Friedman, and Philip Howard for leading the recent fundraising campaign for Tribute in Light. I hope that all of you will consider supporting the campaign to secure the future of Tribute. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't say you can donate online anytime at mas.org/tributeinlight. You can even make a one-time $10 donation by texting the word tribute to the number 20222. So with that, I officially do welcome you to the second day of the second annual MAS Summit for New York City. For those of you who could not join us yesterday, I'll give you a very brief recap. We kicked off the day with a discussion of what livability means to New York City and big cities everywhere. And MAS released the findings of our second annual survey on livability supported by the Rockefeller Foundation. And again, many thanks to Eddie Torres for his leadership. Last year, we learned that New Yorkers are predominantly pleased with the livability of their city. This year, we learned they are also optimistic about the future of the city. But we discussed many important findings, and you can find all of it at mas.org. After lunch, we explored the factors that make our city such a special one, its buildings, neighborhoods, and cultural centers. We looked also to other cities of the world to see how this aging metropolis can adapt to profound changes. And finally, we capped off that very full day with our 2011 Livability Awards, where MAS honored the people and organizations that have made New York City a better place to live. It was a spectacular evening. And we'll be sharing some of the footage from last night with you a little later on. The Gospel for Teens performance it sent chills. So for those of you that were there, you experienced that live. Absolutely amazing. We have a really exciting day ahead. We'll be discussing the ways in which we can invest today in the sustainable New York City of the future and meet our needs through design, zoning, preservation, infrastructure, and housing. We'll also be releasing our report on the Garment District, which lays out recommendations we believe will support this vital economic and creative center. This is an initiative MAS has been working on for almost 2 years now, and I am eager to share our findings with you. And now on to the program. Today, more people are living in Lower Manhattan than at any time since the 1920s. The area has really prospered in the past 10 years, thanks to a lot of hard work and tremendous individuals. Someone who has been greatly instrumental in this recovery is Julie Menin. In addition to being the chair of Community Board 1, she's the founder and former president of Wall Street Rising, a not-for-profit organization dedicated to revitalizing Lower Manhattan. Julie is also an invaluable board member of MAS. Please welcome Julie Menin.
It's such a pleasure to be here today. Before speaking about Lower Manhattan, which is obviously a cause that's tremendously near and dear to my heart, I couldn't speak about Lower Manhattan without mentioning what happened this morning. I was down at the site of Zuccotti Park. We have been working very hard with the community board, with the borough president's office and other elected officials to negotiate directly with the protesters. We've worked out what we think is a very collaborative agreement that respects the rights of the residents who live in the area as well as the small businesses. And it's my strong belief that you can absolutely protect the First Amendment right to assemble, the First Amendment right to protest, and also honor the needs of the community. And so we are very much in agreement with the decision for Brookfield to back off this morning and to try to work collaboratively with the protesters. So I just wanted to begin with that. As we convene on the second day of the MAS Summit, I think it's so important and instrumental to look at the recovery of Lower Manhattan because it truly is an inspirational story. Obviously, a little over 10 years ago, our neighborhood was devastated by the 9/11 attacks. Not only were 3,000 lives senselessly lost, but there was $31 billion of economic damage that our community sustained and $83 billion of economic damage in the city of New York. But now I'm absolutely thrilled to say we are the fastest growing residential neighborhood in the city of New York. We have 30,000 new residents that have moved downtown since 9/11. We're the 5th largest commercial business district in the country, and we have 250 mid to large size businesses that have moved downtown since 9/11. So what was the secret to the success? Well, there were a number of different factors. Perhaps first and foremost was swift governmental intervention. First of all, FEMA allocated $9 billion for the cleanup and the recovery. There was $5 billion allocated for Liberty Zones, which really encouraged residential development as well as commercial development downtown. And there was $3.45 billion allocated for community development block grants. What was perhaps equally critical, though, is how those funds were allocated. They were allocated for major infrastructure projects. And I mention that because I think for the decision makers, it could have been easy to disperse those funds in a lot of different ways. But I think there was a thoughtful approach to really focus on infrastructure. And let me first of all thank and acknowledge Amanda Burden, who's here today, because she was very helpful in getting a lot of these infrastructure projects pushed forward. So a number of those infrastructure projects that I wanted to mention are the East River Waterfront, which came out of a visioning statement that Community Board 1 and the Downtown Alliance did years ago. The to-be-built World Trade Center Performing Arts Center, of course the 9/11 Memorial, and all the projects that are happening simultaneously at the World Trade Center site. But perhaps one factor that is frequently overlooked is the Lower Manhattan Development Corporation's decision in 2002 to allocate $227 million for grants for people to remain in their homes and, equally importantly, for people to move downtown. Those grants were given to over 40,000 individuals, and in my opinion, that is one of the keys to why we're seeing such residential growth in Lower Manhattan. But of course, there are many other reasons for the resurgence of downtown. The decision to give grants for businesses to stay in the community and for new businesses to locate there. So there was a small business retention program. There was a JCRP program for businesses that had employees of over 200 or more. And under these programs, over 250 mid to large size businesses have located downtown. And that, I would add, is probably why we see in Lower Manhattan that we are one of the few areas in the city that is actually experiencing job growth. Another key factor in Lower Manhattan's growth was our work on creating the infrastructure needed to support all of these residents. The Community Board was very active in creating 3 new public schools, PS 276, which is in Battery Park, PS 397, which is in the Gary Building, and the to-be-built Peck Slip School, which will open in several years. But we also opened many new community centers, new libraries, new parks, new playgrounds to truly support that residential population. And I mention all of this because what I think really has resonance for our city as we look to the future is looking at the story of Lower Manhattan, seeing what worked and trying to replicate that in other neighborhoods all throughout the city. So of course we need to be looking at large-scale infrastructure projects like Moynihan Station. We need to ensure that the World Trade Center Performing Arts Center is built. And we really need to look very importantly at any of the large infrastructure projects that we can get done in New York, because clearly they create jobs. They create construction jobs. They create the jobs in terms of demand for supply materials. They create long-term jobs, but they also help to revitalize all of our different neighborhoods. And so in closing, I would just say that it is now time to write a new chapter for Lower Manhattan's history. I know MAS will be an enormous part of that chapter, and I look forward to working with all of you moving forward. Thank you.